Reborns, it's Ollah at Dolls Mummy Diaries. Hello. Today is... Now, I can't remember what today's date is. Alexa, what's today's date?
Today is Wednesday, the 15th of October.
Okay, so today is Wednesday, the 5th of October. And today's a special day for me because I am spending the whole day in my Reborn doll studio painting. I've got various things I need to do, and I just thought I'd dedicate the whole day, though I am going to go to the gym at 6 p.m. I need to go to the gym, guys. I need to, I need to keep myself fit. I normally do swimming, but I've had some scar treatments on my body, skin, and I need to keep away from chlorine while my skin heals. Just been getting some peeling and fading treatment on some scars I've had a while, because I've got very fair skin in many parts of my body. My skin is very light and I just scar easily from bites, from insects, or from just knocking my body against things. I just get a bruise, I get a scar, and then the scar just, it's just there, it just doesn't go. And it really does make me self-conscious, when you put on a swimsuit and that. So I thought I'll do something about it. So I've been getting some peeling treatment done. But my favorite exercise is swimming. But anytime I get the scar treatment, I have to avoid swimming for a few weeks. And while I'm avoiding the swimming, I go to the gym. So we'll be going to gym at 6 p.m. today. So the time now is 8:30 in the morning. So I've got all day to work on various projects that need to be worked on. So, introduction to my beautiful selection of dolls here. If you don't know, I am based in London, United Kingdom. I have over 120 dolls. I've been collecting dolls from early childhood, very obsessed with them, just living in my own beautifully created world, which was filled with dolls every day. As a teenager, I moved away from that and got into other interests. But during lockdown, I refound my childhood obsession with dolls. And since lockdown, I've built up my collection. My last counting of my dolls about a year and a half ago was 120. I have bought some more and I have sold some. So I've been trying to mentally calculate, thinking as I sell some, I buy some. So I'm thinking I've still got over 120, definitely. But I'm thinking I've not increased to like 200 or anything like that, because I have been letting some go, giving some away, and giving some to charity and selling some. So that by selling the dolls, I have money to buy new dolls. And that's how I expand my collection. So let's see the selection that I've brought before you of my dolls. Here, this gorgeous beauty here. I bought him from Etsy. He was the first authentic ethnic doll that I ever bought. I bought him from Etsy. He is Joanna Awake by Bountiful Babies. And his painting is just absolutely beautiful. He was made by an artist in UK. I think the name of the shop is Art GB, I believe. And the name of the artist is Clelia. And he is beautifully done. Just look at the detail on his little feet. I just love the realism in feet. If you've been watching my videos a while, you'll notice I'm very keen on baby feet. That's my favorite part of them, is their feet. They're just so innocent. And when they're painted well, I really spend a few minutes appreciating the artwork with you viewers. So that's what it looks like underneath. And I like the way, this has got nothing to do with the artist, really to do with bountiful babies. I love the way they curl the toes inwards like a real baby. So this is the artwork on top of the feet, if you can see, and he has been well painted. I have to say, I do love the painting on him. So he's painted as a mixed race baby. That's what we call them in the UK. In America, you call them biracial. And he has the genuine biracial hair. He's got what looks like glass eyes. And he was being sold at a discount. And I quickly snapped him up. I've had him for around 2 years, and I don't see myself selling him or getting him adopted, because everything about him is pleasing to me. Here's his little hands. She's got a little finger pointing out. He's got the creasing there, as you can see. So she's done dark brown for his creasing against his very light skin. This is other little hand. More of a fist, isn't it? Yep. And he came as a girl with a lovely box opening for a girl. But when I looked at him, I didn't see girl, I saw boy. See, he was immediately redressed as a boy, and I named him Hugo Timothy. Absolutely adorable. And he is like preemie baby. He's about 19 inches, yeah. And he gives me no trouble. He's not giving me any paint rubs. He's not giving me any trouble on any aspect of his paintwork. He is exactly as he is when I bought him 2 years ago. So I'm pleased about that. Here I've got this sculpt. You can see this sculpt a lot on Vinted, on eBay. A lot of people are reselling theirs. Now I've got the genuine original sculpt, which was made by Nines Donil. And she's absolutely beautiful. I've always, anytime I see this sculpt on eBay or Vinted, even though I've got one, my heart always somersaults because I just love the look on this baby's face. I love the tongue. I love that tongue. It's so realistic. I love the expression on the face. I love the hands, the way the hands are. And that's the reason why I named her Innocent. Or was it Innocence? Innocence. I-N-N-O. Innocence. I-N-N-O-C-E-N-C-E. Because that's what I see when I see this expression. And I finally got her in my collection for just £40 on Vinted and in very good condition. This dress she's got on is actually a dress that I'm currently adapting to her size. As you can see, I've got pins in the sides here because I'm shortening the dress to fit her, because I thought this would look really pretty on her, and it does. So I've had to shorten the sides because it's for a doll that's bigger than her. The sides and the shoulders, I've got pins in all around her, and I'm still working on it. I am ashamed to say that I started adjusting this dress last Christmas. So it's October now. So we're nearly coming up a year where I've not actually finished her dress. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, darling Innocence, that I've neglected to finish your dress. So you've had to wear the same dress for nearly a year. Thankfully, she has such a happy disposition that she's not mad at me. Thankfully. Next to Innocence, I've got the very pretty Maddie Reborn by Bonnie Brown, but this is a replica. I have got the genuine authentic one. She's fast asleep in my bed downstairs. And I bought her from Amazon, and I think I just liked her hair. Her hair was really nice brown, a very unusual color for Maddie Reborn ethnic. They normally have jet black hair, and also because of her size, she was unusually large. She's around 24-25 inches, so she's large, and she's got brown hair, and her skin tone also is unique. She's got kind of an Hispanic type of skin tone, so that's why I bought her. She came from America, so I bought from Amazon.com. Her name is Toby Blessing. I rarely show her any of my videos. She's not a favorite. I haven't been able to sell her on eBay. She's been on eBay a while, so she's back in my collection because nobody wants to buy her. I don't know why. So I'm thinking maybe she's meant to stay in my collection. So she is still in my collection, and she gives me no trouble whatsoever. So she's hardly ever, I don't think she's ever appeared in any of my videos. She might have appeared maybe once. But if any of you are watching this and you think you like her, get in touch with me. So I'd still have her adopted. But if nobody wants her, she's welcome to stay here because she gives me no trouble. There you go, Toby Blessing. I hope I haven't offended you by anything I said. I'm sure you're not offended, darling. She's very well weighted. I actually added more stuff into her because she was a big doll, but she didn't have a lot of stuffing in her, so I restuffed her. So she does feel lifelike. And if you want to buy her, she will come with hair accessories, and she will come with a few extra items of clothing, plus socks and shoes. Here is my Mason sculpt by Bonnie Beerburn. Sorry, not Beerburn, it's Bonnie Searburn. He is an original authentic sculpt. He's absolutely gorgeous. It's very rare to get the ethnic one. So when I saw him for sale, I quickly bought him. You can get the white Caucasian one, but the ethnic one, I've not seen it for sale anywhere since I bought him. At the moment, he is on the body of Betty by Natalie Blick. It's a 28-inch body. I bought the body from AliExpress. Well, I bought the whole Betty 28-inch doll kit already painted on AliExpress, but I only bought the kit for him so he could get the body. The body was already painted. The head, I was able to sell the head. And I did do extensive research trying to find a body for him, an ethnic, already painted ethnic body that was authentic, but they don't exist. You literally have to buy the blank, just buy a generic blank authentic doll kit. Body parts. You can buy body parts from like Tinkerbell Creations and Irresistibles.com and McPherson's, and then you have to paint it yourself. And at the time, which was over a year ago, when I was desiring for him to be in a toddler body, I simply had not started painting using professional paints, so I couldn't buy that blank kit from McPherson's or anywhere and paint it so that he could have a toddler body. So I had to buy this one from AliExpress. So I am painting now, and I'm hoping that very soon, very shortly, I will be able to buy the authentic toddler kit from one of those suppliers, paint it myself, and then put him on that body. But for now, he's looking very gorgeous in this replica body. That's the back of his head. And I might change his bald head. I might put curly hair on him. Who knows? But this is him, and I named him Reuben. And he gives me no trouble. He's not got any paint rubs. Nothing's peeling. Nothing's fading. I bought him from eBay. Yeah. When you're blessed with someone who's painted the Reborn properly and sealed it properly, you don't get any trouble for a number of years. Maybe eventually he might peel a bit, who knows? But when a reborn artist paints, for me, what tells me that the reborn artist is a good and highly skilled reborn artist is how long that paintwork stays in good condition. And you might say, well, it's about who the owner of the doll. To be honest, anyone who's spending a fortune on these dolls is not going to be mistreating their doll and battering it about, and you know, it's common sense. Nobody does that. We are mature people. We are spending money on authentics. We are not mistreating or abusing our dolls. When a doll starts peeling and fading, all kinds of things are happening, it's the reborn artist. 99% of the time, it's the reborn artist, not the purchaser. The reborn artist hasn't sealed it, hasn't put a lot of sealing on it, hasn't painted it well, and that's why. I know from my own authentics, we're having authentics now, you know, for a few years now. I can say that when I'm seeing peeling happening, like within a few months of owning the doll, and I'm having to fix the peeling myself, I'm having to fix the paint rubs, I know it's the reborn artist, not me. Because I handle my dolls, even the replica ones, I handle them very carefully. Ruben, you sit there, Ruben. Beautiful baby, isn't he gorgeous? Woo, what's this? I think I know what this is. It's a wig. I bought this for my PIPPA. You know the PIPPA doll that I've been reborning, that I've done quite a number of videos on. If you haven't seen the PIPPA videos I've been reborning with Waterborne air dry paints, and I'm learning from scratch, just like you guys out there are learning. And I've been filming myself doing the painting from scratch and learning as I go along and sharing what I'm learning with you. And I decided to buy her wig. I decided not to root her. I can root, it will take time, and I've got a number of reborning projects I'm working on, and I don't want to spend time rooting her. So I bought a wig from Amazon, and I'm hoping that the wig will fit that. I've got an idea of what I want PIPPA to look like. I want her to be biracial, so I'll put a picture here of what I want PIPPA to look like when I finish her. So you see from the picture what her hair is going to look like, an afro puffy hair. So I bought a doll wig, not a doll wig, a child's wig. Is it a child's wig? Yes, a child's wig from Amazon.com, which is Amazon in the United States. I've had to wait patiently for it to be shipped to me from the United States here. And I'm hoping that when I put this on her head, firstly, it will fit. Secondly, it will give me the vision. It will fulfill the vision I have of her when she's completed. Oh my goodness, there. It's quite puffy. It's a kind of brownish blonde puffy style. So I wanted her to have afro hair. I've never seen PIPPA. Like the photo I've just shown you, she has got mixed race hair in this photo, but not as afro as this one. So this is very afro. It cost about, I think, $15. Smells nice. So this is for children. It's a child's wig, and it's got adjustable straps underneath. There are the straps here. Let's get the straps. And I'm thinking of gluing it onto her head. So she has this permanently on her head. That's what I'm thinking. I should just glue it on. So I'm going to get PIPPA now so you can see whether this suits her or not. This is Pippa. See whether this wig will suit her. Now I'm trying to work out which is the front and which is the back. This is clearly the back here. Yeah, this is the back. That's her. That's my Pippa. Yep, this is definitely the look I was thinking of. She has got a lot of hair, particularly at the back, so I am going to have to trim the hair, because remember, she's just a 1-year-old baby. 1 to 2 years old is Pippa. So I will have to maybe trim the hair slightly. But that is the look that I'm looking for. I want my Pippa to look very unique. I don't want her to look like all the other Pippas, and I've not seen a Pippa online yet that's got afro hair. So this is perfect. I'm going to glue it down, definitely. So I'm happy with this. Yay! Okay, just to correct what I just said, actually, I've just remembered that there is a Pippa that does have that hairstyle currently being sold on Temu and AliExpress, and it is the boy version of Pippa. The boy version of Pippa has got that afro hair in a slightly darker brownish color, so you can get Pippa with the afro that I've just shown you. So guys, I'm really excited because this is the first day that I'm actually painting in my Reborn doll studio. So I relocated my studio from a little corner in my living room. I'll show you the photo here. That's the corner I started out with around January, February this year. So I've now sectioned off a larger area in my living room as my Reborn doll studio. And this is my first day painting in it. You'll see from my previous videos that I painted sitting on my sofa and using my lounge coffee table. Let's look at a few things. What about health and safety? A number of people who upload videos of them painting have disabilities, and I guess it's natural when you've got disabilities, you spend a lot more time at home. You're probably going to end up getting into a hobby like painting, like art painting, and maybe reborn dolls. Even if you haven't got any disabilities, it's sensible to protect your body because you may be sitting for a long time. You need to protect yourself from damaging your spine and developing arthritis and other things. So let's look at that. Below me, I have actually got a footstool, which I'm going to rest my feet on so that I'm not straining my feet on the floor. I'll just show you my footstool. So this is my footstool. It is made of soft material, fake leather. It's like a bean bag, but it's not a bean bag. It is actually a footstool, but you could use it as a bean bag. So this is it. I bought it from Argos. It's also available on IKEA, I think. So it's a soft bean bag type of footstool, but it is actually made as footstool. So it's on the floor, and I'm resting my feet on the footstool. Because it's soft, I can move it about with my feet, and if I'm feeling any discomfort, I can just move my feet a bit. So that's what I've got to protect my feet from pins and needles and straining it. And I made sure that it's high enough so that my knees are bent slightly, so that I'm not straining on my feet or, you know, sitting in an awkward position. And then let's look at my chair, my seating. I have got a backrest behind, and I've got a seat that's actually got a back. If you sit on a seat with no back, after a while your back will start aching. Even if you haven't got disabilities, your back will start aching. And it is good to rest your back against something. You're not putting all that strain on your spine while you're painting your dolls. So I've got this actually is a disability chair. It's actually a chair for people who have got back issues. And it's adjustable. The feet are adjustable, so I can make it higher and lower. And then I've got this backrest I put behind. So I sit like this with my feet on the footstool. And I make sure that I'm as close to the table as possible, so I'm not straining my neck or my shoulders. So I just thought I'd mention that, because it is important that we do look after our bodies when we're doing this reborning. And I'm just doing reborning as a hobby, not as a professional artist, but just as a hobby that I want to develop, I want to learn for myself. And what has driven me to learn is simply because I couldn't find reborn artists to repair my authentic dolls when I had issues. I couldn't find them. If I found someone, they were in another country, it would cost money to send a doll over. Or even if I did find someone that was in this country, they were just behaving in a dodgy way. So I was getting red flags that maybe they're not going to do a good job, they're just going to take my money. And in the end, I thought it'd just be easier for me to just learn to do it myself. So that's why I'm now reborning, to learn to also paint dolls for myself and see what I can do. Obviously, if I paint something and I have it in my collection for a while, and as you do, you grow out of your dolls, I might choose to sell the doll that I made myself, but that's not the primary reason for me reborning. Reborning is to make dolls for myself, to see how I can develop myself as an artist who just loves reborn dolls, and to make dolls for my own collection, and also to be able to fix my own dolls. And since I started learning and teaching myself using Waterborne, I have been able to start working on Tobias, my authentic Raya, who came with some paint rubs. And as I've learned, I've now been fixing those paint rubs. And also his hands were not painted very well. His creasing on his hands were not done properly. He had fingernails that looked like they were bleeding, literally as if he had been in a car accident and had crawled his way out of the car and had a number of scratches. So through learning and teaching myself, I've been able to start work on that, and I've removed all the bleeding signs, so he doesn't look like he's got hands that are bleeding anymore. And I am working on the creasing on his hands, and I'm really happy with the paint rubs I've been fixing on his body, on his face. And so that's my backstory to me reborning. I don't see myself doing this professionally as a career, because I haven't literally got the energy. I'm not going to be able to sit for many hours just reproducing dolls like some kind of human factory. That's not the way I see reborning. Reborning for me should be a hobby that you enjoy. You create something that's beautiful. You take your time. The PIPPA that I'm working on, I can't see myself finishing this within 3 months. I started in January. This is October. It may take my whole year to finish her, because I know how I want her to look. She's for me, so I can take as long as I want, and I'm going to get the end product that I want. When you're working at your table, make sure that you are not having to bend and hunch your shoulders to paint. I've got adjustable chair, so I'm fine. I can adjust this chair. Make sure you've got either an adjustable chair or adjustable table, so you can adjust it and make sure that whatever you're doing, your shoulders are not hunched at all, and no part of your body is hunched or uncomfortable when you're painting. If you're experiencing discomfort, you need to stop and readjust the table and the chair. So this is PIPPA, and as you can see, she's looking quite brown, isn't she? So she's had 4 layers of mottling, but the first 2 layers weren't proper layers, which I explained in my first mottling video, that it didn't really show very well on her skin. So I had to sit down and work out how to do a new formula, a new paint mix that would show up on her skin. So she's had 2 that weren't really proper mottling layers, and then 2 more that were proper mottling layers. So she's had 4, and I'm going to do 1 more to make it 5, and then I'm going to move on to doing her skin tone. So I'm hoping this is my last mottling layer, but just be aware that you don't have to stop mottling here. If you do some skin tone on top of this mottling, you can still do more mottling later if you want to. I want to talk a little bit about this, which I noticed in my Waterborne kit. I bought the Waterborne ethnic starter kit because I knew I was only going to be painting ethnic dolls. Well, I knew at the time, who knows, maybe I will start painting Caucasian dolls. But for starters, to get me started in reborning, it's going to be ethnic only for a while. Within my pack, there was this, and I never really concerned myself with it. But I asked ChatGPT about this, and it gave me some information which I want to share with you because I know it will help you in your reborning. So this is called, trying to get it near the camera. It's called Slow Dry Retarder. And what I found out about it, what ChatGPT said, it extends the drying time. So it gives you more time to blend and to shade and to do the detail before the paint sets. So the thing about air dry paints is that they set very quickly. They're very different to Genesis heat set paints that take a while before they set and dry. So the advantage of Genesis heat set paints is that when you apply the paint, you've got plenty of time to blend and to perfect what you're doing. But if the paint dries up really quickly, you can't do that. You can't fix anything that looks wrong because it's already dried. That doesn't happen with Genesis heat set paints. But with air dry paints, they dry very quickly. Within literally minutes, they're dry. Literally, as you're applying your skin washes, it's already drying up. So when you want to blend with your makeup brush, there's really no blending to done because the painting's already dry. So you can't fix things if the paint is dry. You can't fix anything that looks wrong because the paint is dried up. So what this slow dry retarder does, when you add it to your paint, when you're mixing your paint with distilled water, it delays the drying time, giving you more time to fix anything that looks odd or weird. It's very useful for your washes when you're doing primary wash. So primary wash, as you will have learnt from my previous videos, is the first layer of paint that you apply to the doll after the primer. Now, primary washes need to be thin and translucent, watery. If you put your primary wash on thick, you will not get a good result. You will not get the reborn realism. You'll just get a chalky look. It will not look good. But the problem with this primary wash is that when you make the paint really watery, and I've noticed this, when you are applying the paint with a sponge or your makeup brush with the primary wash, you'll notice how watery it all is. It's all dripping down, it's all runny. Another thing I noticed that it took me 15 layers of primary wash before I saw a change in the color of the kit. And you can't move on to mottling until you've seen a change. And it took 15 layers, and my gut feeling is that it took 15 layers because, well, between 10 and 15, I guessed, because I stopped counting after 6. I was surprised that after 6 layers, nothing had happened. So I just stopped counting. But when I think back over it, it would have been between 10 and 15 that I would have done before I saw any real change in the color of the kit. And I suspect, and my gut feeling is that it's the wateriness. Is wateriness a word? Probably not. It's the way that the paint, the consistency of the paint, the watery consistency of it, the runniness of it, that makes it take so long for the kit to change color. It's not the fact that I didn't put enough primer, because I remember someone commenting, "Oh, you need to add a medium so that the paint could have stuck." I did. I put primer. You put 2 layers of primer. Well, it was sticking all along, but the colour wasn't changing because the paint was watery. Now, this slow dry retarder is useful for applying the primary wash because it will improve the transparency. It will improve what that paint looks like when you've applied it as a primary wash. Another thing it does, when you've got your palette, and it happens to me all the time with this air drying paints, because the paints dry very quickly, you'll notice as you're working, the paint is actually drying up in the palette. It's drying up in the palette. You go back to your palette and the paint's dried. You have to now pour out more paint. So it keeps the paint workable in the palette for longer without forming a dry film in the palette. It also enhances your brush work. When you're using your painting brush, the feel of the painting brush on the doll is smoother, and it gives you better control when you're trying to do very fine detail. Because if you're doing your creases and you've got like a watery paint, you're going to get what I got here. I was trying to fix the wateriness and it went weird here, but I've decided to leave that there because I've seen photos of young toddlers with shadows under their eyes, and I want her to have a few shadows just to make her different from the other PIPPA dolls that I see out there. So I've actually decided to use what went wrong here as part of her normal appearance. So it allows, the slow dry retarder allows smoother strokes, especially when you're doing this fine detail here. You can just go straight over instead of having to go back to try and get that color there. And it gives you better control when you're doing those finer details, so you don't get all this stuff that happened to me. So that's the use of the slow dry retarder. So the only thing you need to remember is that if you use too much in your paint won't stick to the doll. Even though you've got primer on the doll, because you put too much slow retarder in your paint mix, you put the paint on and it's not sticking. So that's why you've got to be really careful with this. It's a blessing, but if it's overdone, then you're not going to make much progress because the paint won't stick. So how do we add this slow dry retarder to the Mottling paint? How do we mix it? According to Chat GPT, and I do encourage you to ask Chat GPT questions because it may give you an answer that will help you be unstuck, and it will save you time trying to find answers by going through thousands of videos on YouTube. ChatGPT told me that you mix a small amount of slow dry retarder to your Mottling mix. So it's suggesting 1 part retarder to 3 to 5 parts paint and water mix. So I'll break that down into simple English. 1 drop of slow dry retarder in your palette, 1 drop. But you apply the drop to the paint and water mix. So let's say you're using red to do your mottling layer, to do your first layer of mottling. You're going to use red, just red. But remember, with Waterborne air dry paints and other air dry paints, you still need to dilute the paint with water. So ChatGPT has suggested 1 part of retarder to 3 to 5 parts paint water mix. So to make it easier, let's say 1 part retarder to 5 parts paint water mix, because it gave you an option of 3 to 5, but let's just round up and say 5, yeah? So that means I'm going to split these two 5 parts. So to make it easier, let's divide up. Let's say 3 parts of the paint, 2 parts of the water. That will make 5 parts. Let's make it even more simpler. 3 drops of the red paint, 2 drops of the distilled water. That makes 5 drops. So we've got 5 drops and then 1 drop. Yeah? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 drops of the red. We're going to get the pipette. We're going to put it in the distilled water. So we've put 3 drops of the red in the palette there. Let's move this nearer to the camera. We've put 3 drops of the red, 1, 2, 3. We then put the pipette into the distilled water and we squeeze how many drops? 2, because remember we need 5 parts. We've already got 3 parts of the paint. We go 1, 2. We now got the 5 parts there in the palette. Then how many parts did I say about the retarder? 1. So we're going to just put 1 drop. Once we've done that, we will mix the paint together. We will get our Mottling sponge. We'll apply the paint to the sponge and then we dab it on. That's it. Now the way that I've explained how to do the mix with the slow dry retarder and the paint could equally be done in the reverse order. So instead of making the 5 parts of paint with 3 drops of red and 2 drops of distilled water, you could do it the other way around and have instead 2 drops of paint and 3 drops of distilled water. Do you see what I mean? It's up to you to decide the consistency of the paint for your mottling, because at the end of the day you want the mottling to show. So you need to be, if you first of all do 3 and 2 in there, test it out on the back of the head of your doll to see what it looks like, whether it's coming out strong enough or coming out too strong, and that will help you determine whether you're going to use 3 drops of this and 2 drops of that, or you're going to use 3 drops of the water and 2 drops of that to make your 5 parts. Once you've sorted this out and you've decided how you're going to make up the 5 parts, then you add your 1 drop of slow dry retarder. Got that? Great, fantastic. Okay, so now let's look at another thing that I wondered about. I was watching some reborn painting by, experienced artists on YouTube, and I just remember somebody mentioning Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel. I couldn't remember what they mentioned it about. I was on Amazon and I was just buying paintbrushes or something, and I just saw this. I thought, vaguely remember someone mentioning this. I need to buy that. I didn't know what it was used for, but I knew that it was used for something. So I asked ChatGPT whether this is relevant for mottling, because that's all I'm concerned about right now. At this point in time, I'm on mottling. Is this relevant to mottling? So I didn't want to miss out on adding something that might help the appearance of my doll. So what did ChatGPT say? Let's find what ChatGPT says. Ultra matte. So ChatGPT says Liquitex Liquitex Ultra Matte Gel is used in reborn dolls to create realistic skin texture and reduce unwanted shine, giving the doll a lifelike matte finish. So basically this is used to prevent that horrible shiny look on reborn dolls that is so annoying. See, if your matte finish that you're using on your doll is not working, if your dolls are all looking shiny, or you've bought a doll and it's looking shiny, this is the solution. So the key purpose of this is to get rid of that unwanted shine on your doll. And it helps to simulate texture of human skin. So it helps you when you're reborning to make the skin tone look like real human skin. Artists often use it to enhance realism, especially on the face and the limbs. It removes the shine. It dries to a dead matte finish, meaning absolutely no sheen. Yeah! No sheen. Sheen is our enemy in reborning, which is ideal for eliminating the glossy look that can result from paints and sealants that you've used on your doll. So if you're stuck at the moment in your reborning journey with shiny, horrible skin tone, you need to go out and buy this from Amazon. I can't remember how much it cost. It was something like maybe £11, but apparently this is your answer. There are other things that it can do. It thickens your paint. So it increases the thickness of your paint fluid, allowing for more controlled application and visible brush strokes if desired. So if your paint is watery, where have we encountered watery paint? Yes, that primary wash and mottling, that's what I've encountered, watery paint. So it makes the paint thicker, so you can control your application. You don't have all this runny liquid everywhere. It extends the paint volumes, so you can mix this with Waterborne or even other air dry paints. This is what ChatGPT says, to economically extend the paint without altering its color. So it can double the amount of paint you've put in your palette, so that your paint lasts longer. And it doubles the amount of paint you've got in the palette without altering the color. So it's very useful, says ChatGPT, when working with limited quantities of custom-made mixed shades. So if you've made your own shades, you've mixed a couple of paints together, if you add this, it will double the amount that you've got in the palette so that it lasts longer. It sounds good. It sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds absolutely amazing. So how are we going to use this in mottling though? GPT says that it will help with mottling because it will give you more control over how the paint is behaving, because it will help you thicken these really thin primary washes that are really watery. So when it's thicker, it gives you better control. It reduces runny or streaky application. Now when you're applying the mottling, it stops it being all runny and all streaky all over because of the water, the distilled water that you've added. And then it gives a nice velvety matte finish to your mottling. So that sounds pretty good. And it also improves your brush or sponge handling. So if you're trying to mottle areas like the ear, which is harder if you've got runny paint, because the paint is thicker, you can get to those areas more easily. So improves brush or sponge handling, especially in creases and small areas. All those creases here and those small areas. Now, of course, you don't have to add this to your mottling mix. You might just be happy with the slow retarder, the paint and the distilled water, and that's fine, because at the end of the reborning process, you will have an opportunity to remove the shine from your doll using this Liquitex. But if you're worried about the runniness of the paint mix, you may decide you want to use it, or you may be happy with what the slow dry retarder has done for that paint mix. It has made it as thick as what you need it to be. So you really don't need this at this stage. You really don't. So if you want an answer to the question, is this relevant at this stage? At this stage in mottling, this ultra matte gel is not crucial. It's not important, but it doesn't hurt to have it. But you don't need it. But because I've got it, I'm going to use it, because I have already got it. But if you haven't got this, don't go out and buy it just because you want to use it in mottling. But it is entirely up to you. It's not absolutely necessary. Your work can look good without it. So how do we do the mix for this then? How are we going to mix it all? So ChatGPT suggests 2 parts of paint, 2 parts of ultra matte gel, 1 part water, 1 part slow dry retarder. So you notice that this slow dry retarder, you're always going to be using only a little bit. That's what it suggests, but it also says you've got to decide what consistency you're going to be using, because it's you that's doing the mottling. You need to judge. If you use its suggestion and it doesn't look right when you've tested it on the back of your doll, then adjust it. Adjust it. Don't just blindly do the recommendation of ChatGPT, because it does always say that you must check whether what I've suggested is right for your doll. So you put the suggestions in there, in the palette, you mix it together, you dab it on the back of the head of your doll, and if it looks dodgy, it doesn't look right, then you know it's not right, you don't use it, you adjust it. And if you have mixed it there and it doesn't look right and you want to start again, you don't have to throw that mix away. You can keep it in a container, label it, and put it over there. It might be useful for some other job you might do on another doll. And just start again. So I'm going to use both of these with the distilled water to do my last mottling layer. This is my last layer before I start doing the skin tone on top. So I'm going to prepare my mix now. Before I actually do that last mottling layer, I decided to practice using the slow dry retarder, Liquitex, distilled water and paint to fix Bobby Divine's paint robs on her face. I wanted to practice and see what it looks like, what it feels like. And the only way I can explain the difference between using these two and not using these two in mottling is to explain it using my cleansers. So I just put these aside, and I just want to explain to you in simple terms how adding these two to the paint mix has made a difference. So I use micellar water on my skin because I've got skin that is just so sensitive. I just get allergic reaction to everything that I put on my skin, including moisturizer. I can't put a moisturizer on my skin. Haven't been able to for many years. So micellar water, and it's not all micellar water I can use, but I can use Garnier. So this is water, yeah? So imagine mottling your mottling paint without slow dry retarder, and you just put water in it. Remember, with Waterborne, with air dry paint, the paint has to be watery. Like this is watery, yeah? So I'm going to apply this watery thing to my skin. This watery micellar water. Apply it to my skin. Oh, I'm trying to get my skin on the camera. Here it is. That's it. You just water it, you can barely see it, yeah? But you get the picture. When you put water on your skin and wipe it down with tissue, you know how that feels. It just feels cold, it feels damp, and it feels wet, yeah? Put a bit more water on there so you can see what I'm talking about. Now you can see it, yeah? It's just wet and damp. That's what it looks like when you put Waterborne air dry paint mix. When you've mixed it with distilled water and you put it on the skin of the doll, this is what you're getting. You're just getting a wet patch, yeah? And it feels runny and wet and damp. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now, when you add slow dry retarder, you're going to add in a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. It changes the consistency of the paint. So let's now, on my skin, put this baby lotion. It's liquid talc. It's baby lotion, it's liquid talc. Let's put it on the sponge and let's apply it to my skin. Let's apply it to a different part up here. Can't see that. Let's do it again. Still my other arm. This arm here. So I'm gonna add the baby lotion to my skin. Can you see how smooth it feels when I'm rubbing it down? There's no wet patches there, nah. And it feels so smooth. Can you imagine that? When you're cleansing your skin with a moisturizer that's creamy. Remember how soft and smooth and easily the cream glides over your skin? There's no damp patches there. No. Let's do that again. Just in case you didn't see that one. So this is it. This is a baby lotion. I'm putting it on my skin. See that? You can see it. And it's lovely and smooth and silky. It's so easy to apply it to my skin. There's no damp patches there. That's what happens when you add slow dry retarder to your paint mix. It feels so much better. And I know because I've used it on Bobby Divine's face. It really does feel better. So this is good. But there is a caveat. If you put too much in the paint mix, the paint won't stick to the doll. That's what my research has showed me. ChatGPT has said it. I've looked online, looked it all up, and they all said the same thing. The only way the paint will stick to your doll is if you've put enough primer on it. The primer, that's what makes the paint stick. And remember, I put 2 layers on my PIPPA so that I could be sure that the paint would stick. I remember reading through the comments on my last mottling video, and somebody said, oh, you're meant to add a medium to it, because obviously in that video I'd said it took 15 layers for me to get a change in the color. 15 layers of primary wash. And someone said in the comments, yeah, you were meant to add a medium to the paint and then it would stick. Well, that's not true. With Waterborne and with any air dry paint, the only way to make the paint stick is that you've got a primer. Well, with water, I know for sure Waterborne, I don't know other paints. For Waterborne air dry paint, primer is the only way that you're going to get your paint to stick. So if your paint is not sticking, it's because you've not got enough primer. And in my mottling video, I wasn't complaining that the paint wasn't sticking. I was complaining it took a long time for it to change. Now, the reason why it probably took a long time is because your primary wash has to be watery. But remember, I've just shown you what putting a watery thing on your skin looks like. It looks damp. And even when you have to wait for that to dry, but because there's so much water in it, it's runny. So it's not going to change color after a couple of layers. It took 15 layers, around 15 layers for that skin color to change. But if you're using slow dry retarder, which is causing it to be less runny, and it lengthens the drying time. So with Waterborne air dry paints, once you apply them, within a couple of minutes they're drying out. You can't blend the paint. If you've made a mistake or anything looks blotchy, you can't fix it because it dries really quickly. With the slow dry retarder, that's why it's called slow dry. It lengthens the drying time. So you're getting a smooth feel as you're applying it. It's less runny and it's giving you more time to blend it. So at the end of it, at the end of you applying your mottling layer, you can also use this for your primary wash. You can add this to your primary wash as well as your mottling paint. At the end of the day, after you've applied it, it looks better because you had more time to blend it. You was able to fix any mistakes, any blotchy looks. It looks better. It feels better when you're applying it on. It looks a whole lot better. But you can only use a tiny bit. You mustn't use too much. So, I hope I've explained it well. Now, when I've been doing this baby doll's painting, fixing the paint rubs, I've used a tiny drop of this and a tiny drop of this because I wanted to see, because they said this also thickens the paint and then it will give it a matte finish. It will look nicer. So I've used a tiny bit of that. So I know how it feels, and I have to say it felt a whole lot different to when I was using just the paint and the distilled water. It did really feel nice and creamy and smooth, and it was easier to manage. Just like they said, you had more control over the flow, whereas with the runny paint you're trying to mop up the runny water. When you're dabbing it on the doll, you're trying to mop up any excess. With this one, with this mixture, with these two, I think even with just a slow dry, because I know a lot of you won't have the Liquitex, the slow dry on its own is really good. So I'm now going to do my mix. I'm going to do it so that you can see me doing it, so that you know how to do it. Okay, so I am going to, for my final mottling layer, I'm going to prepare a honey brown color. I've asked ChatGPT its opinion on what my last mottling layer should be for my biracial toddler reborn, and it said honey brown. And I've asked it how to prepare it, and it said I should use equal parts of yellow and burnt umber. So I am going to do 3 drops. One, 2, 3. Three drops of burnt umber. It did say I could either use burnt umber or raw sienna, and I've gone for burnt umber because my raw sienna, I've been using it a lot and I don't want it to run out. Buying paint singly as a singular color is more expensive than buying a kit. Okay, so I have used 3 drops of each. I've put 2 drops of water, and I'm now going to put 1 drop of slow dry retarder, and I am going to use Liquitex because I did like the way it made the paint feel. And remember, with the Liquitex, it really has to be even smaller than the slow dry retarder. So I put 1 drop of slow dry retarder so that I'm not going to put too much. I'm going to use this bamboo stick to just pick up a little tiny bit from just the edges. See that tiny bit there? So I'm trying to get it on the camera. I just got a tiny bit at the end. Just a tiny little bit. It needs some more water. It needs to be watery. It's mottling. Doesn't need to be super watery, but it doesn't need to be thick either. I know looking at that, that's going to come out really rich. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I did 10 more drops. I can see it just barely, and I think I want it slightly more concentrated. I can see it at the back there just about with my eyes. I can just about see that, but I think it needs to be slightly stronger. So back to the drawing board. Equal amounts. So I'm going to put 3 of this and 3 of this. No, that'll be too many. I'm going to put 2 of this and 2 of this. ChatGPT says to get the honey brown, I need to have 2 of each. So let's, no, that was wrong. ChatGPT says to get honey brown, I need to have equal amounts of this. And then I need to add some white to it, which I haven't done yet. So I'm going to put 2 of each in there. Is it? One, 2. That's 2 drops there. 2 of this. 1, 2. That was actually bigger than, that drop was bigger than the yellow that I put in, so I'm going to have to add another drop of yellow because that drop there was really huge. That's better. Okay, so I've got equal amounts now. Mix it together. So at the moment it's looking like a greeny colour. Add some white. Get it to look honey brown. I know. Let's try some dark flesh. That's it. Dark flesh. That's it. This honey brown thing is not coming along as I expected. Honey brown, come on. One, 2. Yeah, it's getting lighter. We're getting there. One, 2. So I've got my honey brown, not as light as honey as I would like, but it is definitely not as dark as before. I'm going to add more water. So you see, I've added a lot of paint to the slow dry retarder and the Liquitex that I've put in there. I need to still put water because this is mottling. We don't want it too rich. Remember, we just want the mottling to look subtle. I've put too much water, so I am going to add slow dry retarder. One drop. A drop of Liquitex. Yeah, this time it's much better. I can see it clearly now. Much better. I can see it better now. Yeah, I can see this much better. So that was me mixing everything, trying to get the right consistency. I didn't want it to be too watery. I didn't want it to be too thick. And I think I finally got it to where I needed it to be. So I'm now going to apply it to PIPPA. Hi guys, it's coming up to 7 p.m. in the evening. I've just literally got back from the gym. I had to stop recording and get down to the gym. And I spent about 1.5 hours there. Working out. I was on the treadmill and then I did other exercises on an exercise mat. Let's start with her face. Isn't she gorgeous? Okay, let's just put that there a minute and let's quickly get... So with mottling, as you know, you apply the paint to the mottling sponge. So I'll just do that. Sorry about the lighting, guys. When I've finished applying the mottling, I will then quickly show you the end result under brighter light in a different part of my home. Now we just need to focus on getting this paint on her. I have bought a cute little light here. I found this at Pound Shop, which is your dollar shop, yesterday for just £1, and I thought it might be useful for my reborning. I'll try and shine a light on here using this. Let's put that there. Okay, let's go. So as you know, you just lightly dab. And you don't go over the same place twice. Just go once over each part of the mottling. I saw these makeup brushes. I got them for £1.50 each, £1.50, which is about $2 each. So this has got two. And this is the big one that you use to blend. Need to put PIPPA there while I just go and get some scissors to open up the package. I'm using this white sponge to dab on any wet patch that anything that looks like it's looking like a little wet spot, like a little bubble. So I'm just popping those bubbles. There we are. All done. Good morning, guys. So it's the next morning now. I finished the mottling that you saw me doing last night around 10 or 11 p.m. and right now it's 11:40 a.m. It's about 12 hours ago that I finished the mottling. And remember I said the slow retarder will mean that it will take a little bit longer for it to dry. I did check with ChatGPT and 12 hours should suffice, but you still have to test it with your fingers, test it, see if it's dry, see if it's sticky or not. Because 12 hours seems a lot, but then it also depends on the conditions in your home. Is your home warm? Is it cold? What's the temperature like outside generally? But what I've also noticed with Waterborne is that the final color does not appear when it's dry, because generally speaking I leave my kit for a number of days before I come back to it when I finish painting. Sometimes I leave it a week, sometimes even 2, and I notice over that time the color of the doll is changing, it's getting darker, it's looking different. So it's entirely up to you. If you really urgently need to get on with painting the doll, then yes, once the relevant time period has gone and you've tested it and it's not wet to touch, you can get on with it. But for me, I don't mind the delay. I'm not a human factory. I'm not churning out dolls every day to sell, anything like that. I'm literally doing this as a hobby. So I like watching and seeing the color change and darken. I just find that fascinating. So though it's been 12 hours, I'm going to just leave her. I'm not touching her yet. I'm going to leave her for a few more days before I then do the skin tone. So once I've decided that I want to do the skin tone, I will do my next video and we'll be looking at applying the skin tone now that I've finished the mottling process. But as you can see, she is looking lovely and brown and gorgeous. The shadows under the eyes, as I said, I'm leaving her with shadows under the eyes. This is not what it's going to look at the end. At the end, I will go over this and blend it within her skin tone, but she is going to have shadows because I want her to just look a bit different to the other PIPPAs that are out there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Give it a like and do subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you on my next painting video. Bye.